Welcome back to the 504 Core podcast. We're here with Zack Naggy today of Sports Illustrated. Zach, you've been busy with a lot of stuff, going on with LSU. I see you're pumping out articles on LSU country. You want to start off with baseball today?
Yeah, dude, baseball's been ridiculous. So hit me with whatever you got.
Well, let's start off with the little mishap of Camden Wicker, 6'6" pitcher from Warford. You know, they said he was committed, not committed. Was there a little snafu there? They just got the wrong guy? I know multiple people reported, he was committed and then it didn't happen. So what's the situation there? Is he in the portal? Is he not in the portal? Just kind of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so the story with Camden Wicker really just ultimately comes down to he's a freshman phenom and he balled out for Wofford this year and he played against LSU and LSU got the best of him, but that one showing doesn't really determine the season that he had. He's a talented freshman and he's in the portal and D1 Baseball has their little transfer portal tracker. And in that transfer portal tracker, they had Camden Wicker, his new destination being LSU. Ultimately, he's not committed to LSU. I've spoken to a couple people about the situation and he's not committed to LSU right now. But LSU went out and got Wofford's ace instead. And it's not really an instead situation. It's kind of like that's the guy that they were targeting initially. And if you got both of them, then good for you. But they were really going after Zach Cohen really, really hard. And they ultimately got him to commit. He was on campus last weekend for a visit, and it was really hush hush. Not that many people were talking about it. And him and his family drove down to Baton Rouge, got a face to face visit with Jay Johnson and the rest of the staff. And he ultimately pulled the trigger and committed to LSU. So that's the ace. That's the guy that's a weekend starter right off the bat. I mean, look, the numbers speak for themselves. 110 innings pitched, 124 strikeouts, 3.35 ERA, and that many innings is insanely impressive. So he led the way for a Wofford team that ultimately made the NCAA tournament, and it's a really big deal. But the story here lately has been Camden Wicker over the last 24 hours, and if he's committed to LSU or not. And all I can say right now is that he's not committed to LSU, but who knows what happens down the line. He's a guy who's in the portal, and if he makes the move, he makes the move. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But LSU got a really, really good one on Wednesday.
They did offer him though.
To my knowledge, that's a guy that they're targeting in the portal. Offers and stuff are not that meaningful. It's you want him or you don't. But that's a guy that they're pursuing if he remains in the portal.
Anyone else that they're targeting that you know of, or
East Carolina pitcher Zach Root is a guy that they've been going after really, really hard. He's a tall, lanky guy. Interesting release point. All of his pitches look the same, but once they get to the plate, there's just so much movement there. And it's been a guy that intrigues Jay Johnson. And there were some reports that he was on campus last weekend as well for a visit. But we'll see. This is a guy who's going to be one of the most sought after pitchers in the portal. And LSU's trying to make up some ground here and make their push. Jay Johnson, they call him the portal king for a reason. And if he wants him, he's going to get him. So I think you're going to continue to see the program turn up the heat for him. But look, man, this is a monster. This guy's super, super talented. And I can't really say long and lanky enough because once you see pictures of him and once you see him on the mound, it's the instant takeaway. But this is a guy that they're pursuing, and we'll see what happens over the next couple of days. But keep tabs on Zach Root from East Carolina. I think that's a guy who they're going to continue to turn up the heat for.
What year is he? Do you know?
He just finished up his sophomore season at Eastern Carolina.
Is he draft eligible? Do you know? I mean, that's something you got to kind of keep an eye out for these days.
I don't think he is, but I don't think he is. I think this is a guy who they're gonna who they ultimately would hope to have for at least a year or two.
Yeah. Anyone else that you're aware of that they want?
The pitching rotation is something that they're really keeping tabs on right now. Obviously, 3 out of the 4 pickups that you have are pitchers in South Florida's Chandler Dorsey. You already got Zach Cohen. You're really making a lot of moves in that area right now. But Luis Hernandez is a slugger that they already got.
He's draft eligible, right?
He's draft eligible. It's a guy that you really need to keep tabs on. But I think he ultimately lands in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, and then I was looking at the recruiting class for LSU baseball. Man, they still have a ton of pitchers coming in. They have like 8 pitchers committed. So, I think if you can get 6 of them, I think that'd be pretty big time. So I was just kind of looking over just everything. So, I mean, LSU's bullpen's going to be pretty different next year. You're going to be leaning on Chase Shores. Every time they interview Jay Johnson, he always says Chase Shores. Is there any way he goes in the draft? I think he's draft eligible, right? No?
He's going to be here next year, and Jay Johnson's openly said that he thinks that Chase Shorts is the best pitcher that they have in the mix. Obviously, he's been out with Tommy John this entire season, but this is a guy who's going to come in next Friday and has next season has the chance to be your Friday night starter. He throws absolute gas, and he took the entire year off. He was a guy who could have come back late in the season, but he sat out and continued to rehab and get 100%. So it's going to be nice to see him work during fall in the next couple of months. But come next spring, this is a guy who, dude, he's going to be a freak. This is a guy who has a chance to be just dominant for Jay Johnson and them.
I mean, just imagine if he was healthy this year. Like I think they're going to Omaha if he's healthy. So they were relying on a lot of pitchers that had to step up. I mean, Cade Anderson's going to get better. Gavin Guidry, Herring. Have they heard any rumblings about the draft with them?
So Griffin Herring's a guy that they're really, really putting a full court press on to stay in Baton Rouge. Jay Johnson has said that if he stays, he's going to be a weekend starter. He's said it. He's locked it in. If Griffin Herring returns to LSU, he's going to be a weekend starter. It's already in the cards. I want to see a lot. I want to talk to a couple more people about Gavin Guidry. I'm really intrigued about what happens with him. If he's
got to come back.
I'm not trying to start anything, but he's just bouncing around a little bit. Does he want to play in the infield solely? Does he want to become more of an impactful pitcher? Right now, he's used in a couple different areas, or I'm sorry, he's only used in one area, and that's out of the bullpen. So I want to see if LSU tries to keep. I wonder if he tries to put his name in the portal and sees what happens there. I can't envision a world where that does happen, but it's something to keep tabs on for sure. But your draft eligible guys that are sophomores are Jared Jones and Griffin Herring. Those are two guys that they're going to be pushing to keep.
Wait, so there might be a little rumblings of Guidry going to the portal? Like
I wouldn't say that there's rumblings of him going to the portal, but it's something that I just want to know. Is this a guy who wants to just come out of the bullpen in late inning situations, or does he want to take on a bigger role with the pitching rotation? Does he want to play in the infield? So I feel like there's a lot of different variables. For right now, no, he's not going to the portal. He's not in the portal, but it's something that I want to keep tabs on over the next couple of weeks for sure.
Where would he even play? I mean, you kind of have, I guess, Jared Jones and Herring are the two big what ifs, right? So, like, I would assume Jared Jones is going to go, right? If you had to guess right now on the 13th of June, what would you guess?
If he gets around 3 or 4 draft grade, he's gone.
Yeah.
But if it starts to push back a little bit more, I would see him returning. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, he had a great year with LSU this season, but the sky's the limit for him. This is a true power hitter who is continuing to excel at first base. We saw him evolve over the season, so I'd like to see what happens there. But if he gets around 3 or 4 round 4 grade, he's gone. But we'll see. Time will tell. We got about a month.
Who would take over the first base? I know Hernandez played first base at Indiana State. Who would be potential first base replacement? Possible.
Dude, Hernandez is a Swiss Army knife. You can put him anywhere. He's played catcher, infield. He's done everything. DH. This is a guy who's done absolutely everything for Indiana State. But I think if Jones ultimately goes to the draft, you're probably going to have to go to the portal and try to find a first baseman. I think ideally you want to put Hernandez in that DH slot and just let him dominate in that area like we got to see him do with Indiana State this year. But I think if Jones ultimately goes to the league, then you're probably going to have to go back and hit the portal and try to get a first baseman.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of see him as a DH as well. Hopefully he hits around 300. I know you kind of see it with guys. I know Bingham was hitting above 300 and then he was in the low 200s. So SEC ball is definitely different. Hopefully, he can kind of play better than what Bingham did down the end. But
well, dude, not to interrupt you, but the thing with, if we're just solely talking about Hernandez, dude, the jump that he made in year 3 is substantial. All of his production came this season. Like the jump is crazy. I think it was like 23 homers. He batted like 359 on the year. And yeah, his overall batting average is impressive, but the numbers that he jumped from year 2 to year 3 is crazy. I know SEC ball is a completely different ball game, but I feel like he's slowly hitting his stride, slowly but surely. And with the development system that LSU has down here, I feel like the sky's the limit for him. So DH is where he's going to get his bread and butter at, but that's a guy to keep tabs on. If they ultimately can't find a first baseman in the portal, I could see Hernandez playing first base. He has a track record there, but I think if Jared Jones does leave, they're going to have to hit the portal.
Yeah. What about Braswell? I'm assuming he's coming back unless he's a high draft pick, which I don't foresee, but you never know, right?
He hit it I keep using the statement, hit his stride. He hit his stride in postseason ball, and he started dominating towards the back end of the season in that leadoff slot. I think he should come back. I think he is going to come back. but he's openly said that he would love to come back to LSU. So that's another guy who's kind of a toss up at this time.
Yeah, they LSU's got a lot of options here. Is there any other rumblings about like potential transfer portal hits? I know Kling left. That really wasn't surprising considering couldn't really hit the ball. Is there anyone else that you really saw or you can foresee hitting the portal?
Not right now. I mean, I'm sure you'll see another one, two, three guys go, but nobody that can see that's going to be of a substantial loss. I think losing Sam Dutton and Paxton Kling is a decent loss. I know Paxton Kling couldn't hit he couldn't hit a beach ball, but at the end of the day, he's an incredible defensive piece, and he had decent time in the field as a true freshman. You had Jake Brown come in and take his spot in center field this year, but if Paxton Kling can get it down at the plate and continue to develop in that area, he's going to be a high draft pick, a high round draft pick when it's all said and done. But right now, his time just wasn't going to be happening at LSU, especially with the freshmen taking over the outfield like Jake Brown, Ashton Larson. You saw a lot of youngsters shine this season, and there just wasn't really a path for Paxton to get some substantial play for the foreseeable future. But kind of rounding back to your question, I can't see anybody that's going to be a substantial loss entering the portal at this point in time. But look, man, baseball's a crazy game, and Jay Johnson's looking to free up some spots, which he's done already to hit the portal with force. So anything can happen right now with this program.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of options. One thing too, like I mean, you obviously never want to get bounced early, but Jay Johnson got bounced slightly early this year. I mean, he made regionals, which is really good. But last year he was talking about how he couldn't really recruit, put full press in the recruiting because he was in Omaha. Well, I mean, obviously you'd rather have that, but you already see 3 kids recruiting, maybe 4, maybe 5 pretty soon. So, he's kind of have a step on that, which is pretty key. I mean, if you give Jay Johnson time and resources, and anything's possible. So, be
Oh,
interesting to
dude,
see.
the proof's in the pudding. You're seeing him get an early jump start in the portal right now, and he's
Yeah,
knocking it out of the park. He's got some impactful players already, and time's going to tell for him to get even more. Um, Last year, he didn't have any time to really recruit. The day that they won, or the next day after they won the Natty last year, he hopped on a flight and went and met up with Luke Coleman to go get an ace. So yeah, the time is everything for Jay Johnson. He's an elite level recruiter, and the more time you give him, the more home runs he's going to hit on the portal trail. So he's doing it right now, and I think over the next couple of weeks, it's going to get even scarier. He's going after some big name guys, and Zach Root's one of them to keep tabs on, but we'll see even more guys enter the portal once Omaha kind of concludes.
yeah, yeah. I wonder if any Omaha players are going to leave. That's always interesting. I mean, you saw Chase Burns leave Tennessee last year, which is he's one of the best pitchers in the country, and he leads at one of the top teams, and Tennessee's in Omaha. So you never know. I would assume that he's going to go get another ace somewhere, whether it's the guy from what's his name, Zach what Root.
Zach Root.
Root, yeah. So yeah, I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon. Really interesting to see what's going to happen in the draft, and yeah, I'm excited for LSU baseball. I think most LSU fans should be. So you're going to transfer to football recruiting?
Let's do it.
Well, one name I keep seeing, DeCorian Moore. I don't know what to make of this dude. Decommits, commits, probably going to decommit and commit again. So I've never seen a kid have a bad official visit. What's the latest with him?
Yeah, his official visit went really, really well from everything that I've heard. I spoke to somebody who's close to his recruitment, and he said that his mom was blown away with the visit. Like you said, you rarely hear of bad official visits. You're rolling out the red carpet and doing just about everything you can to reel somebody in. The latest buzz on DeCorian Moore, for people who aren't really sure, is he's the #1 wide receiver in America, 5-star, was committed to LSU for about 10 months. He committed in August of 2023, decommitted last month. And now he's back on the market. You have a trio of schools who are really turning up the heat for him. You got Texas, Ohio State, and Oregon. All of them will host him for official visits, and those have been in the cards for quite some time. But LSU snuck in an official visit last weekend, or the weekend of June 7th, and they hit it out of the park. He was supposed to leave a day early to go down to Tampa to go play in the overtime 7-on-7 league, but he decided to stay for a little bit longer and talk with Frank Wilson and talk with a bunch of different guys within the staff. And they hit it out of the park, and LSU's back in the mix. But I think Texas is obviously your front runner here. This isn't this is public knowledge. You can go look at a bunch of different recruiting experts and what they would say, and they would say the exact same thing. You can go look at the On3 recruiting prediction machine, and they have Texas as a heavy favorite there. But it's pretty much public knowledge here that the Longhorns are going to piece together a really impressive NIL package, and that's something that's super important to him. But the buzz on DeCorian Moore is he's going to work through his official visit schedule, and that included Ohio State already, LSU. Then you'll have Texas and Oregon as well. And from there, he'll make a decision before his senior year, is my guess. But this is a kid who is Odell Beckham-esque. It's a guy that people compare him to. He's a true phenom. And yes, there's a lot of outside noise about him and his family, and is it all about the money and whatnot? But he's a guy who's so far worth the hype, and people are going to continue to piece together impressive NIL packages to sway him that way.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it multiple times. If you're a recruit, just take as much visits as possible, get pampered, go travel. So, yeah, I don't blame him for that. It's just like, I don't know, when kids make comments, I'm 100%, 1000% locked in, and then like 24 hours later, oh, I'm decommitting. It's like, okay, so
You're starting to see like obviously like all recruits love to say that dream school statement, but
yeah,
you're starting to see that dream school statement just get thrown around and just thrown in the trash can. It's like if it's your dream school and you're committed to them, then I don't know what more you could ask for. We saw DeCorian Moore say that LSU was his dream school, but it's going to be an interesting saga over the next couple of weeks before he makes his decision. But the month of June is super pivotal in his recruitment, and every weekend is a new school. He's going, I think this weekend he might be going to Texas. I don't know if it's Texas or Oregon. It's one of the two, but those are the last two that are on his official visit schedule, and then we'll see what happens there. But I know a lot of LSU fans are sitting here talking about DeCorian Moore, this and that, but I think a lot of people should be talking a little bit more about Teron Francis. He's the number one wide receiver in Louisiana. He's committed to LSU. He's from New Orleans. He goes to school at Edna Carr. And this is a guy who is continuing to develop more and more. And if you have a nickname like Manchild at Edna Carr, I mean, I feel like that speaks to the type of player that you truly are. I mean, Edna Carr continues to pump out just talent left and right. And Frank Wilson, LSU's recruiting guru and running backs coach, put a full court press on him here. He's ran point in this recruiting, and I think a lot of people should be talking about Teron Francis. I think he's going to be a guy who could be next up as a really good Louisiana player or Louisiana wide receiver to come through LSU.
yeah. No, if there's one position LSU shouldn't be worried about, it's receiver. I mean, you can look at the track record. I mean, hell, even Malik Neighbors was offered late. He was a Mississippi State commit, gets the offer. I don't know if he's a 3-star recruit, but I think he's a 4-star. But he got offered late. He comes in and just look where he's at. Did he go 6th overall? Where did he go? Top 10 draft pick. So,
Yeah.
that would be my selling point on DeCorian Moore. It's like, just look at all the talent we produce. Like you can do the short term NIL stuff and then get paid. I mean, I'm not gonna say that's easy to walk away from, but I'm just
I mean,
saying,
just look at Justin Jefferson for crying out loud.
Jefferson, Chase, Odell, Landry. I mean, you can go down the list. Neighbors, Thomas. I mean, there's tons and tons of evidence of what LSU can do. So I know LSU's not totally locked in. I mean, they're locked in on the NIL, but like these other schools are just another level, I feel like. So Brian Kelly even came out and said, we're not just here to pay players. So I know Bryce Underwood say it's not about NIL, it's going to come later. So you just look at development. And yeah, I mean, if you want to play with Bryce Underwood, the best quarterback, and best running back, Harlan Berry, come on down, just look at the track record. So
I mean,
what about,
just like not to interrupt, sorry, but like if you're looking at the wide receiver haul right now, obviously Teron Francis is your lone wide receiver commit. But dude, they're in the running for so many other guys right now. Like Khalid Lockett, the number
yeah,
2 wide receiver in America. He's fresh off an LSU official visit. This is a guy who has LSU right in the mix alongside Texas A&M and Texas. It's a 3-horse race right now, and LSU really kind of hit it out the park with him. It's going to be interesting to see what it comes down to. I know Texas A&M is a school who's a heavy hitter in his recruitment, but you look at somebody like Khalid Lockett, Jamie French. Those 2 guys, those are 2 top 5 wide receivers in the country. They were both on official visits right next to each other. And Texas was the front runner for Jamie French. And then he came and visited LSU, and everybody's back at the level playing field again. LSU set the bar high for his recruitment, and he's come out and said that it was impactful. Like that trip was big on him. So you have 2 top 5 guys, and not to mention C.J. Wiley. He's an impressive guy out of Georgia. It's going to be an LSU versus Georgia battle down the stretch. So you have 3 of the top wide receivers in the country that are firmly in the mix with LSU right now. So we'll see what happens. But DeCorian Moore is a significant loss, and they'll continue to press for him. But it's gonna be interesting to see what they ultimately come with.
If you had to rank Lockett, Moore, and French at 1 through 3 of most likely to commit to LSU, I mean, obviously this is purely prediction. You don't know what kids thinking, but if you had to rank it from everything you've seen and everything you've heard, how would you rank the most likely to go to LSU between those three?
I don't see Moore committing to LSU. I just don't see it in the cards. I don't see him, coming back. Um, I see that as a Texas lean. I think Lockett would be super fun. I think Lockett's a guy who LSU set the bar really, really high for. It's probably going to become a Texas A&M and LSU battle down the stretch. But if I was to put it probably in order of who I think would commit, it would probably be Lockett, French, and then Moore. And I would just take Moore and probably put it on the back burner for now, unless anything changes after these official visits that he takes. Once the dust settles come July, we'll have a better read on where he is leaning towards and what he's feeling. But right now, I think I like where LSU stands on Lockett. I think they're really, really, like I said, I'll say it again, setting the bar really high for his other official visits that he's taking. I'm pretty sure he's actually going to take one to Alabama now. Somebody told me that he's going to sneak in an Alabama visit, but I'm not too worried about them when it comes to him. So keep it short and sweet. Lockett, French, Moore.
All right. Yeah, that's good. What Solomon Thomas, that lineman committed to FSU, someone predicted a flip. I don't know if that's true. What's the latest with him? I know he's a 5-star guard, right?
Brad Davis has his hands in so many different places right now on the recruiting trail. He's as dominant as they come, and he has a pretty good haul that he's looking towards. You're going to see guys like Micah DeBose and Carius Kern be two guys who LSU is going to continue to put a full court press on. I like where LSU stands with Micah DeBose, and I say those names because you can only take so many guys in each recruiting class. So fast forward to your question about Solomon Thomas, LSU has the best chance to flip him from what I've heard and what other people have said. It'll be hard to sway him away from the Sunshine State, but I think I don't predict him to flip right now, but we'll see if anything changes down the stretch. But LSU knocked out that visit; they crushed it for sure.
What about the D line? Kind of going Davis to Davis. What's the latest? I mean, I kind of ripped on Davis, Bo Davis last time. You pay him all this money, and I don't think he's gotten like one commit outside of a junior college, JVR Suggs. So, what's the latest with that? I've seen multiple things, multiple kids considering LSU getting visits now. So, is there anyone you feel like could commit to LSU soon out of the D line?
I do. 1 second. Basically, right now, for me, I wrote about it a couple of days ago, and I'm gonna go try to find it. But 1 second. It's a lot. They're trending for a couple of guys. I'm gonna go try to find that real quick. Yeah.
It's good.
There's five. I wrote about five that LSU's trending for. Damian Shanklin is a 4-star edge, and he locked in a commitment date for August 29th, and that's fresh off an LSU visit. And he's received a couple of crystal ball predictions so far. LSU's really in the mix for him right now, and I could see LSU ultimately pulling out. He's the number one player in Indiana, and it's tough because it's out of your region, kind of going up there and trying to get somebody. But Damian Shanklin's a guy to keep tabs on. Brandon Brown, he's a 4-star defensive lineman who's currently committed to Texas. You already saw On3 recruiting expert Billy Embody pretty much log a flip prediction for LSU to get him. That would be a significant pull. Another guy is Zion Williams. He set a commitment date for July 4th, fresh off an LSU official visit. And then Xavier Okpono is a guy as well that I wrote about. He also set a commitment date. So those are 4 guys just right off the bat that I can think of that LSU's really trending for in Okpono, Brandon Brown, Damian Shanklin, and Zion Williams. So Bo Davis is kind of knocking it out of the park right now.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's going to be a lot at once. So they really need D linemen. Is there any defensive tackles in that group, or are they all edge guys?
Damian Shanklin's an edge. Williams is a defensive lineman. Brown's a defensive lineman, and Okpono's a defensive lineman.
Yeah, they need some tackles. I
I'm
don't know how they're going
to right now.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to get it, but they definitely need some tackles. So I know you got to go soon.
I got
Quick
a couple
final
more minutes if you don't want to rush out. I got 5 more
Yeah,
minutes.
no. I'm trying to think any other recruiting stuff you want to hit on.
I mean, dude, we could sit here and talk about DJ Pickett. That visit was absolutely insane. That's a guy that Corey Raymond's really, really pressing for. He's a Florida native. It's going to be really hard to sway him away from Miami and other programs like that. Pretty sure one of his relatives is currently on Miami's roster. So that's a guy who Corey Raymond's really continuing to press for. When Corey Raymond was on staff at Florida, he was pushing for DJ Pickett services. And fast forward to now, he's back in Baton Rouge, and it feels like they haven't skipped a beat. He's been on campus, I think, like 3 or 4 different times now. And the last one being an official visit the weekend of May 31st. And that visit was really, really crucial in his recruitment. I spoke to somebody next who's kind of familiar with his recruitment, and they were really just saying that LSU's at the top of his list right now. And you saw LSU bring in Patrick Peterson. They walked around the football operations building together. They had dialogue. You saw DJ Pickett talk with Frank Wilson and all the other defensive back coaches. And it's really impressive what they're doing with this haul right now. But DJ Pickett's going to take his fair share of visits, and we'll ultimately see what happens. But I have LSU at the top of the list right now.
Okay. Yeah, no, that'd be big time. I know Dorian Brew's another guy. Are they still in the mix? I know, he's LSU ties. I think Ohio State ties. What's the latest with him? Do you know?
DJ Pickett, and for those who don't know, DJ Pickett and Dorian Brew are both 5-star cornerbacks. Dorian Brew and DJ Pickett took official visits alongside each other the weekend of May 31st. That was a really, really big official visit weekend for the program. But I don't see a world where LSU gets Dorian Brew right now. He's fresh off of a visit to USC. Ohio State's firmly in the mix. So it's a 3-team race right now, in my opinion, for his services. Would probably be LSU, USC, and Ohio State. But that's a super talented guy. He's got potential out the what. So we'll see what happens there. But that was a big time official visit, and LSU is going to continue to push for both those guys to retool that secondary.
Yeah, definitely need some DBs. All right, we'll end on LSU with that. Quick final thoughts. NBA Finals.
Yeah, I think it's just about it's done. A gentleman's sweep would be nice, but I don't even see a world where the Mavs even steal one. It's just about over. Luka Doncic is so banged up, dude. Like his knee, his ankle, his chest. He's just completely banged up. He looks like the guy from like SpongeBob who's in that full body cast. Like he just looks He looks terrible out there. It's wraps. I like to see Kyrie do a little bit better the other night, but shit, man. Luke is banged up. He's a cone on defense. He's getting blown by left and right. I was looking at that percentage of getting blown by on defense, and he leads it in the last 3 series. So it's wraps. It's done. Shout out Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Give Jaylen Brown the MVP. And call it a day because it's over. It's wraps.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Did you see Windhorst ripping a Luka last night? Did you see that video?
Yeah, you saw them put the Meet the Grams audio on it too from Kendrick Lamar. Dude, that shit was so funny. And rightfully so. Like, I'm a Luka Doncic guy. Like, I thought he should have won MVP. Like, I won't shy away from that. Like, I'll double down on that. But yeah, he's looked absolutely gassed this series. So that's all I'll say. It's done. Shout out Boston. Pretty easy path. It was a Mickey Mouse path to get this ring, but look, they have the squad. Even if it wasn't a Mickey Mouse path, I still think this was their time to get it. Drew Holiday's a freak. He's been dominating on both ends of the floor. Jason Tatum's doing his thing. Even though people want to hate on him, I know it's hard to like Jason Tatum at times. And
dude, he drives me crazy. He drives me crazy sometimes. These step back threes he does,
backing up threes. Oh yeah, like I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to sit here and defend Tatum wholeheartedly, but he's been stuffing the stat sheet. He's been doing what he can. But Jaylen Brown's your Finals MVP. Log that prediction and give them their rings. It's over.
Yeah. No, my final thoughts is Boston's obviously going to win the series, but now if Tatum eliminates step back threes and these side step threes, dude, his efficiency would go through the roof.
I agree. I was saying that the other night when I was watching.
Yeah, no. If you follow our Twitter page, that's all I tweet about. So I want to watch the game because it's so frustrating. If they got critical possession, they need a bucket, can't crit a shot, step back three, bricks it, not even close. And it's literally it's not every single time, but just about every single time he does a step back three, he never makes it. So I wish some kind of stat would come out and find what he's shooting on those.
His inefficiency.
It's got to be under 10% because I've never seen one go in. So, but yeah, no. Boston, hat off to them, hat off to Brad Stevens, probably the most importantly. So, you got Tingus Pingus for Marcus Smart, and you also got picks. So, talk about selling high. One last prediction: where's Brandon Ingram get traded to?
Dude, I've been trying to follow that saga for so long. Like, I don't even know. Like, does he go to Cleveland? Like, does he go to Cleveland? Like, is Cleveland even in the cards right now? Like, can we trade for Darius Garland or something?
Well, they're saying that Cleveland's not interested. I don't understand how Cleveland can go back with their core four. So we'll see. But if you had to pick one team just out of your ass, what are you picking?
The Hawks.
Hawks. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Kings. I'm gonna get weird. I think Kings are gonna be a little desperate this year, and they got some assets. So we'll see. That's my prediction.
I like it. We'll elaborate on that next week.
Yeah.
I like that though.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. If you guys can like and subscribe, we'd really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys soon.